everyone. In this lecture, we're going to be talking about the olfactory system. So let's start with our olfactory receptor. Basically, we can talk about the components first on this figure here to your right. First component we should talk about probably the olfactory cell receptor right over here. So this is the receptor that's going to detect the smell. You can see how this receptor is going to come together with other receptors. So you have like 1, 2, 3 receptors over here that are going to form your nerve fibers. And your nerve fibers, if we transfer it to the figure on the left, you can see right over here you're going to have your nerve fibers right over here, and they are going to come together to form what we call the olfactory bulb. From the olfactory bulb, it leaves your nose through what we call the olfactory tract, and from here it goes into your central nervous system. Okay, so if we go down the line, we start with the olfactory receptor. Not to mention that on the tip of the olfactory receptor, we're going to have what we call the olfactory cilia, so little hairs that receive the protein that's going to be smelled. Then from the cilia and the olfactory receptor, we go to your olfactory nerve. From your olfactory nerve, you go to your olfactory bulb, which is this enlarged area right over here. So these are the main components that detect the smell. We do have other structures that are going to be present here. These other structures are going to be supporting cells, which are sort of going to do exactly what the name is telling you. So it's going to support your receptor cells. We have another important feature over here, which is called your olfactory gland. And this gland, basically it's going to do what you guys would suspect it will do. So it's going to secrete mucus into your nasal cavity, which is going to be right over here or right over here, right? And we also have one more cell that we should talk about. We're going to have these basal cells, which basically are your stem cells. And these stem cells are going to sort of divide to replace olfactory receptor cells that die after a while. Okay, so you do have olfactory receptors that are replaced as you sort of lose them. One thing that we should phrase, so here we're going to have our cribriform plate, which is a structure that you guys should be familiar with. So our olfactory nerves are going to pass through those little holes that are present in your cribriform plate. Now if we go to the olfactory pathway, over here you're going to see that we're going to have the epithelium right over here. From the epithelium, we're going to have your olfactory nerve fibers. From the fibers, like I said, it passes through the bulb, from the bulb through the tract, from the tract to the central nervous system. So this is the route that the odor takes once you smelled it through your nasal cavity. Now there are 3 characteristics of the smell for you to be able to actually smell something. It has to have one of these 3 or all 3 together. So I want you guys to think about this. What are some of the characteristics that the odor has to have for you to be able to smell it, and we can discuss this in lecture on Monday. One more thing that I forgot to mention with regards to the pathway. So here, from your olfactory tract, it goes to your central nervous system, and actually passes through your cerebral cortex, your hypothalamus, and your limbic system. So this is the exception of the pathway that does not pass through your thalamus first. So it does not pass through your thalamus. So it goes directly to the central cortex, can go through the hypothalamus, and it can go through the limbic system. But at the end, it will have its own place on the cerebral cortex where it's going to be detected. Now, how do we detect different smells? Basically, these epithelial receptors, they're going to have different sensitivities, and according to the different sensitivities, we're able to detect different smells. So that all has to do with the sensitivity. Some people are able to be more sensible to certain types of smells, and other people are going to prefer different smells, and that's all has to do with the sensitivity of each individual. One more thing that I'd like to say, so we do have these stem cells over here that are going to replace our receptor cells, but these sort of become less productive as time goes by, and that's why we sort of as older you get, your sense of smell sort of goes away and fades out. So that's why usually when you see an elderly person, they usually have a very strong smell of perfume. It's basically because when they're putting their perfume on, they can't really differentiate or detect the smell, and therefore they put too much perfume. But basically because even though they do have these stem cells, they are unable to replace all your olfactory receptor cells that die as you age.